They wanted me to break down. They wanted me to crumble in front of everyone, with champagne bubbles popping and strangers pretending not to stare. But I didn't give them that satisfaction. Instead, I smiled, raised my glass, and set in motion something that would turn their perfect midnight into a nightmare they'd replay for the rest of their lives. Let me back up. 5 days before New Year's Eve, I found a property transfer document in my husband's briefcase. Marcus had left it on the kitchen counter when he rushed out for his morning run, and I was just moving it to make space for my coffee. The folder slipped, papers scattered, and there it was. Our house, the brownstone in Boston's South End that we'd renovated together, being transferred to an LLC I'd never heard of. My hands went cold. Marcus was a private equity partner at Thornbridge Capital. He dealt with LLCs and shell companies all the time, but never with our personal assets. Never without telling me. I took photos of everything with shaking fingers, stuffed the papers back, and called the one person I knew would tell me the truth without sugarcoating it. Maya Chen answered on the second ring. Elena, it's 7 in the morning. This better be good. He's hiding assets, I said. I found transfer documents. Marcus is moving our house into some company I've never heard of. The line went quiet. Maya and I had been roommates at Boston University 15 years ago. She'd gone to law school while I pursued art history. Now, she was a partner at one of the city's top family law firms, and I curated exhibitions at the Newbury Street Gallery. We'd stayed close through everything, including my marriage to Marcus 6 years ago. Send me the photos, she said. All business now. Don't confront him. Don't let him know you know. Can you come to my office today? I met her at noon. Her corner office overlooked the harbor, the gray December waves chopping against the piers. She had the photos spread across her desk, along with several other documents she'd pulled in the 3 hours since I'd called. Elena, when was the last time you checked your credit report? I don't know. A year. Why? She turned her laptop toward me. Because your husband filed for divorce in Nevada 2 months ago. The room tilted. That's impossible. I never signed anything. I never even knew. She was gentle, but firm. He forged your signature. I pulled the filing up. The signature doesn't match your handwriting. I already sent it to a forensic document examiner I work with. She can have a preliminary analysis by tomorrow. I stared at the screen. There it was. My name, my supposed signature, agreeing to dissolve a marriage I thought was solid. We'd had problems, sure. Marcus worked long hours, we'd grown distant, but divorce without even telling me? There's more, Maya said. The LLC? It's owned by a Vivian Monroe. Does that name mean anything to you? It did. Vivian was a 26-year-old associate at Marcus's firm. She joined Thornbridge 2 years ago, fresh out of Wharton. I'd met her at company events. She was ambitious, sharp, always perfectly put together. Marcus had mentioned her name a few times, always in a professional context. Oh, God, I whispered. Maya nodded. I'm sorry, but here's what we're going to do. You're going to act normal, completely normal. You said Marcus is throwing that New Year's Eve dinner at Odyssey. He invited 8 other couples, friends and clients. The rooftop restaurant is Marcus's favorite. All floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the harbor that costs $400 a plate. Perfect. You're going to go. You're going to smile and play the perfect wife. And I'm going to be there too, at a different table with my husband. You're not going to acknowledge me. When midnight comes, whatever happens, you're going to record it. Everything. Why? Because if he's bold enough to forge divorce papers, he's bold enough to do something stupid in public. And when he does, we're going to bury him with it. The next 3 days were the strangest of my life. I moved through our home like a ghost, watching Marcus get ready for his run, kiss me on the cheek before work, ask about my day over dinner. He was so normal, so convincing. How long had he been practicing this performance? On December 29th, Maya's document examiner confirmed what we already knew. The signature was forged. She'd stake her professional reputation on it in court. On December 30th, I went through my jewelry box and discovered my mother's sapphire bracelet was missing. My mother had died when I was 16. The bracelet was the only piece of her jewelry I'd kept. A delicate platinum chain with small sapphires that caught the light like teardrops. She'd made me promise to give it to my daughter someday. I didn't have a daughter. Now, I didn't have the bracelet, either. I called Maya, trying to keep my voice steady. He took my mother's bracelet. Are you sure? I keep it in a specific box. It's gone. Maya, he gave it to her, didn't he? Probably. Added to the list. That's theft of marital property at minimum. New Year's Eve arrived, cold and clear. I spent the afternoon at the gallery staring at a Rothko we'd just acquired without really seeing it. My assistant asked if I was feeling okay. I told her I was just tired. At 6 I went home and got ready. I chose a midnight blue dress, simple and elegant. My father would have called it my armor. He'd been a carpenter, a practical man who'd raised me alone after my mother died. He taught me that sometimes you had to be steel wrapped in silk. He'd passed away 3 months ago, a heart attack, sudden and brutal. Marcus had been supportive during the funeral, holding my hand, making arrangements. Had he already been planning this? Had he been counting down the days until I was truly alone? Marcus came home at 70, already in his tuxedo from a client meeting. You look beautiful, he said, kissing my temple. Ready for tonight? Ready, I said, and smiled. Odyssey was everything Marcus loved. Exclusive, expensive, impressive. We arrived at 8:20. The other couples were already there, clustered around the bar with cocktails, the city glittering below us through the windows. I recognized most of them. Tom and Jennifer, Marcus's college friends. David and Rachel, clients who'd made a fortune in biotech. Others I'd met at various events over the years. I made small talk. I laughed at jokes. I complimented dresses and asked about holiday plans. My phone was in my clutch, recording app already activated. At 8:30, we sat down for dinner. That's when I saw her. Vivian Monroe walked in wearing a red dress that probably cost more than my monthly salary. Her hair was swept up, her makeup perfect, and on her wrist, catching the light from the chandeliers, was my mother's sapphire bracelet. I stopped breathing. Marcus stood up, smiling, and pulled out the chair next to him. Not next to me, I said, next to him. Vivian sat down like she belonged there, like this was perfectly natural. Everyone, Marcus said, his hand resting on Vivian's shoulder. I don't think you've all met Vivian. She's been absolutely instrumental in the Cascade merger. Polite applause. Confused glances toward me. I kept my smile fixed. Dinner was 7 courses. I tasted none of them. I watched Vivian laugh at Marcus's stories. I watched his hand touch her arm. I watched my bracelet catch the light every time she reached for her wine glass. At 11:30, the restaurant dimmed the lights and turned on the TV for the Times Square broadcast. Champagne appeared at every table. Marcus stood up and tapped his glass before midnight. I want to say something, he announced. The restaurant quieted. This year has been transformative for me. I've learned a lot about myself, about what I really want, about being honest instead of hiding behind comfort and routine. My heart was pounding. I pulled out my phone, pretended to check a message, and positioned it so the camera had a clear view of Marcus. So, as we go into this new year, I'm making a change. I'm starting fresh. He reached down and took Vivian's hand. Vivian and I are engaged. Gasps rippled through the room. Several people looked at me. Vivian was beaming, holding up her left hand to show off a diamond that could choke a horse. Marcus looked at me then, his expression almost pitying. Elena, I know this is awkward, but you knew this was coming. You signed the papers back in November, remember? The silence was deafening. Everyone was staring at me now, waiting for me to cry, to scream, to make a scene. I smiled. Did I? Marcus blinked. What? Did I sign papers? Are you sure about that? His confidence flickered. I pulled up the recording, I said, hitting play. The woman's voice filled the sudden silence. Based on my analysis of the signature on the divorce documents filed in Clark County, Nevada, versus the authenticated exemplars of Elena Hartley's handwriting, it is my professional opinion that the signature was not made by Elena Hartley. The pressure points are wrong. The letter formation is inconsistent, and there are multiple indicators of simulation. This is a forgery. I stopped the recording. So, no, Marcus. I didn't sign your papers, which means we're not divorced, which means you just announced your engagement to your mistress while you're still married to me. In front of 16 witnesses. The color drained from his face. Vivian's smile had frozen into something horrible. That's impossible, Marcus said. You're lying. This is some kind of fraud. Yes, it is, I finished. Forging someone's signature on legal documents is fraud. A felony, actually. Movement caught my eye. Maya was standing up from her table 3 rows over. She walked toward us. Maya Chen, attorney at law, she said, her voice carrying across the silent restaurant. I'm here to serve you with several documents. First, a restraining order preventing you from accessing or transferring any marital assets. Second, notice of a fraud investigation being opened by the Massachusetts Attorney General's office. Third, notification that your employer, Thornbridge Capital, has been made aware of the criminal investigation and will be conducting their own review. She handed him a stack of papers. His hands were shaking. Then Maya turned to Vivian. Miss Monroe, I need to inform you that you're currently wearing stolen property. That bracelet belongs to my client and was taken from the marital home without her knowledge or consent. Vivian's hand flew to the bracelet. Marcus gave it to me. It's a gift. I didn't steal anything. Marcus didn't have the right to give it away, I said. That bracelet was my mother's. The only thing I have left of her, and you're wearing it like it's a party favor. I'm not taking it off, Vivian said, but her voice wavered. Maya pulled out her phone. Then I'll need to call the Boston Police Department and report theft of property valued over $10,000. They can sort it out at the station. Vivian's eyes went wide. Marcus said it was costume jewelry. The sapphires are Burmese, I said. The platinum is antique. My mother bought it in 1985 for $8,000. Current appraisal value is $12,000. So yes, it's a felony theft charge if you refuse to return it. Vivian's fingers scrambled at the clasp. The bracelet fell onto the table with a small clink. She was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. Maya picked up the bracelet and handed it to me. The weight of it in my palm made my eyes sting, but I blinked the tears back. The countdown to midnight started. 10, 9, 8. Around us, the restaurant was frozen. Everyone watching our table instead of the TV. 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year, I said to Marcus. His face was gray. Elena, please, we can talk about this. I made a mistake. I was confused. We can fix this. You're right, I said. We can fix this with lawyers and judges and a very public divorce where everyone learns exactly what kind of man you are. I turned to leave. Maya fell in step beside me. Behind us, I heard Vivian sobbing. I heard someone ask Marcus what the hell he was thinking. I heard the whispers starting, the gossip that would be all over Boston's social scene by morning. Maya drove me home, not to the brownstone I'd shared with Marcus, but to my father's old house in Dorchester. I'd inherited it when he died, but couldn't bring myself to sell it. Now, I was grateful. We sat in the kitchen where my father used to make pancakes on Sunday mornings. Maya made tea. I held my mother's bracelet and tried to process what had just happened. The firm will fire him, Maya said. Fraud investigation plus this public disaster. He's done. Good, I said. Vivian might face charges, too. She was receiving stolen property, and she's been helping him hide assets. At minimum, she'll lose her job. Also good. Maya studied me. Are you okay? No, I said honestly. But I will be. The next 6 months were brutal. Marcus tried everything, begging, threatening, offering settlements. His lawyer was expensive. Mine was better. Maya connected me with a divorce specialist who had zero tolerance for fraud. The handwriting expert testified. The forged papers were thrown out. The Nevada divorce was voided. We started fresh in Massachusetts, where I had home court advantage. Marcus's firm did fire him. The fraud investigation found enough irregularities to recommend charges. Though the DA eventually settled for probation and restitution, his reputation in Boston's financial circles was destroyed. Vivian lost her job, too. Last I heard, she'd moved back to New York, taking a position at a much smaller firm. The divorce was finalized in June. I got the brownstone, half of Marcus's retirement accounts, and a settlement that reflected 6 years of marriage plus his fraud. My lawyer made sure everyone knew why we were asking for more than the standard split. But winning didn't feel the way I thought it would. My father had died 3 weeks before I found those property transfer papers. I'd been so consumed with grief that I'd missed the signs of Marcus's affair. I'd missed months of lies, and during the divorce battle, when I should have been processing my father's loss, I was instead drowning in lawyers, court dates, and the public dissolution of my marriage. I never got to properly grieve him. Marcus sent an email in July. He said he understood why I'd exposed him publicly. He said he accepted the consequences. He said he still loved me, which was the most insulting thing of all. I deleted it without responding. In August, I went back to the gallery full-time. I threw myself into work curating an exhibition called After Midnight, featuring artists who'd created their best work after trauma or loss. It opened in September to strong reviews. I reconnected with friends I'd neglected during my marriage. I started therapy. I adopted a cat named Rothko who knocked over my coffee every morning and slept on my feet every night. I wore my mother's bracelet to gallery openings and important meetings. Sometimes people asked about it. I told them it was an inheritance from someone who taught me that beautiful things should be protected fiercely. On New Year's Eve, almost a year after that dinner at Odyssey, Maya invited me to a quiet celebration at her house. Just her husband, and a few close friends. We played board games, ate too much cheese, and counted down to midnight with cider instead of champagne. At 11:50, Maya pulled me aside. "How are you really doing?" she asked. I thought about it. About the brownstone that was truly mine now. About the career I'd rebuilt. About the therapy sessions where I was finally unpacking my father's death. About the ways I'd learned to trust again, slowly and carefully. "I'm okay," I said. "Not healed, not over it. But okay, that's enough." Maya said, "That's more than enough." At midnight, we hugged and made wishes for the new year. I wished for peace, for art, for the kind of love that doesn't require performance or lies. I thought about Marcus sometimes, wondered if he ever understood what he'd really lost. Not the money, or the job, or the social standing, though those mattered to him. But me, the person who'd loved him genuinely before he decided genuine wasn't enough. I thought about Vivian, too. Whether she learned anything from watching her perfect plan fall apart. Whether she ever wore sapphires again without thinking of the woman she tried to replace. Mostly, though, I thought about myself. About the version of me who sat at that New Year's Eve dinner and smiled through her own humiliation. Who recorded the moment of her public betrayal, not because she wanted revenge, but because she wanted justice. I'd won everything a court could give me. But the real victory wasn't the house or the settlement or even the satisfaction of watching Marcus face consequences. The real victory was this. I survived. I rebuilt. I learned that I was strong enough to be steel wrapped in silk, just like my father taught me. And when midnight came, and another year began, I was standing in a room full of people who actually loved me, holding a glass of cider, wearing my mother's bracelet, and finally beginning to feel whole again. That was worth more than any revenge could ever be.